Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to explore why listening is the key to improving your English. Imagine this. You're sitting in a room full of people speaking English. You can hear them laughing, sharing stories, and connecting with each other. Wouldn't it feel amazing to understand every word they're saying and join in? That's possible, and listening is how you get there. Listening to English is like opening a door to a whole new world where English doesn't feel foreign. It starts to feel natural and comfortable. Why listening is your secret superpower in learning English. Listening isn't just a skill, it's a superpower for language learners. Think about how a child learns to talk. A child doesn't start with grammar books. They don't worry about spelling or pronunciation. Instead, they listen. They hear their parents, friends, and family talk, and bit by bit they understand. Eventually, they begin to copy what they hear. They learn words, phrases, and even the rhythm of their language without trying to memorize anything. This is exactly what listening can do for you in English. By listening regularly, you're allowing English to become a natural part of your mind. Listening is a real-world teacher. Listening isn't just about hearing sounds. It's about understanding the music of English. Every language has its own rhythm, tone, and flow. And the only way to really understand this is through listening. When you hear real conversations, you're learning how English works in the real world, which is very different from textbook English. You get to hear the natural speed, the informal language, and expressions that people actually use every day. For example, instead of saying, "How are you?" someone might say, "How's it going?" These little differences are what make English feel alive. What to do when you don't understand everything now? Let's be honest. You won't understand everything at first, and that's okay. In fact, not understanding every word is actually good for you. It pushes your brain to work harder, to pay attention to patterns and context rather than just individual words. Here's a tip. Don't try to translate every word into your own language. Instead, focus on understanding the main idea. If you hear a story about someone's day, listen for words you recognize like breakfast, work, home, and dinner. These words give you clues, and soon the entire story starts to make sense. Your brain is smarter than you think, and it will start filling in the gaps naturally. Another tip: if you're listening to a video or podcast, try listening to it more than once. The first time, just focus on getting the main idea. The second time, pay attention to any new words or phrases. By the third or fourth time, you'll start catching even the small details. This repeated exposure is one of the most powerful ways to improve. 1. Vocabulary growth. Let's say you hear the phrase, "I'm absolutely starving." Even if you don't know starving, you'll probably understand from the context that it means very hungry. By hearing words in context, you remember them faster because you have a real-life example in your mind. Over time, your vocabulary grows naturally without memorizing lists. 2. Grammar without studying. When you listen, you're hearing English grammar in action. For example, you might hear someone say, "I've been waiting for ages." Even if you don't know the exact grammar rule, you'll understand that this sentence talks about waiting for a long time. By hearing such phrases repeatedly, you learn how to use grammar without needing to know every rule. 3. Better pronunciation. Pronouncing English words can be tricky, especially when they don't sound like they're spelled, like comfortable or choir. When you listen, you learn the real sound of words. For example, you might see the word Wednesday and think it's pronounced exactly as it's spelled, but listening teaches you it's actually pronounced Wednesday. This helps you speak more clearly and confidently. 4. Building confidence. When you start to understand English through listening, it gives you a big confidence boost. You feel like, wow, I really understood that. This confidence pushes you to keep going, to listen more, and even to start speaking. How to make listening a daily habit. To really benefit from listening, you have to make it a part of your everyday life. You don't need to sit down with a textbook and study. You can add listening into things you already do. Here's how. Listen while you do other things. Play English audio while you're cooking, cleaning, or walking. This way, listening becomes a natural part of your routine. For example, you might listen to an English cooking video while preparing your meal, which makes it fun and practical. Start with what you love. If you enjoy sports, listen to English sports commentary. If you love music, find English songs you enjoy and look up the lyrics. This makes learning feel less like work and more like a fun hobby. Practice shadowing. Shadowing means repeating what you hear in real time. If you're watching a video, pause after a sentence and try to repeat it just like the speaker. This practice helps with pronunciation, rhythm, and even confidence. Challenge yourself with different accents. English has many accents: American, British, Australian, etc. At first, pick one accent to focus on, but as you improve, try listening to different accents. It's a great way to train your ears and become more adaptable in real-life conversations. How much time to spend on listening? Start small. Begin with just 10 minutes a day. As you get more comfortable, increase the time. Eventually, aim for at least 30 minutes a day. Remember, consistency is more important than time. Listening every day, even for a short time, is better than listening for hours only once a week. It's like exercise for your brain. The more you do it, the stronger it gets. Real-life example of listening in action. Let's say you listen to a podcast about travel. The host says, "Last summer I explored the beautiful beaches of Greece. I tried local food and it was absolutely delicious." Even if you don't understand every word, you'll get the main idea. The person visited Greece, saw beaches, and loved the food. Each time you listen to similar stories, you'll understand more details, like what kinds of food they tried or which places they visited. With time, you'll start feeling like you're part of these experiences. Listening opens doors to connection and culture. Listening doesn't just teach you English, it connects you with the culture. When you understand the language, you understand the jokes, stories, and emotions behind the words. Imagine watching a movie in English and understanding not only the words, but the feeling behind them. You get to experience a whole new world of books, movies, conversations, and friendships. Listening also helps you connect with people. When you understand someone's words and tone, you feel closer to them. You might even start feeling like you're a part of the English-speaking world, able to talk, laugh, and share with others. By making listening a daily part of your life, you'll see a big transformation. English won't feel like a foreign language. It will start feeling like something you understand, even if you're just a beginner. So put on a podcast, listen to a story, or watch a video. And remember, every time you listen, you're getting one step closer to becoming fluent. Now, let's talk about something interesting: accents. When learning English, One thing that can feel confusing is hearing different accents. You might notice that Americans, British people, Australians, and people from other English-speaking countries sound a bit different when they speak. They use the same language, but the words can sound different. This is normal, and it's actually helpful for you. Let's see why. Imagine you're watching an American movie and you hear the word water. Now you switch to a British show and you hear water again, but it sounds different. In American English, people might say water with a D sound, while in British English it's often watu with a T sound. It's the same word, but it sounds different. Now imagine there are hundreds of words that change slightly depending on the accent. At first, this can make listening feel a bit confusing, but the more you listen, the easier it gets. And here's why listening to various accents is actually very beneficial. When you listen to English in different accents, you're training your brain to adapt and recognize words no matter how they sound. It's like working out different muscles. Just like lifting weights makes you stronger, listening to various accents strengthens your ability to understand English in real-life situations. For example, American accent often uses a strong R sound. Words like car sound like car. British accent tends to soften the R, so car sounds more like ka. Australian accent. They may say words like day more like die, giving words a slight twist. Each accent is like a different style of English. The more you get comfortable with them, the more prepared you'll be to understand English anywhere in the world. Different accents teach you new words and expressions. Every English-speaking country has its own favorite words and phrases. By listening to different accents, you learn these unique expressions and can understand them in context. Let's go through a few examples. In American English, people often say awesome to mean very good. You might hear, that's awesome, when someone is excited. In British English, instead of awesome, you might hear brilliant or lovely. So they might say, that's brilliant, or she's a lovely person. In Australian English, people have unique slang like mate for friend or brekkie for breakfast. So you might hear, let's have brekkie. Mate, which means, let's have breakfast, friend. Understanding these differences can make you feel more connected and make conversations with people from different countries easier. Benefits of listening to different accents. 1. Increases understanding in real-life conversations. Imagine you're traveling or meeting people online. You might talk to someone from the UK one day, an American the next, and maybe an Australian after that. By listening to different accents, you're preparing yourself for this kind of real-world interaction. You won't feel lost, and you'll be able to respond more naturally. 2. Improves pronunciation and speaking skills. When you hear different accents, you're also learning different ways to pronounce words. This can improve your speaking because you understand how sounds change. You can choose the accent you prefer and practice speaking like that, but you'll also understand other accents easily. 3. Helps with movies, shows, and songs. Watching movies, shows, or listening to songs becomes much easier and more enjoyable. Instead of struggling to understand, you'll start catching every word and even start noticing expressions. For example, British shows might use bloody as an emphasis, like, it's bloody cold, which simply means, it's very cold. The more you listen, the faster you'll catch on to these expressions. 4. Builds confidence. Listening to various accents boosts your confidence. You won't feel nervous or worried about not understanding someone. You'll know that you're ready to handle any kind of English, no matter where it's from. This confidence will show in your conversations, helping you speak more freely. Practical tips to get comfortable with different accents. 1. Start with familiar content. Begin with something simple in each accent. For example, try watching an American, British, and Australian version of a similar topic. You might watch news reports or listen to different YouTubers talking about the same thing. This lets you hear different accents without getting overwhelmed. 2. Use subtitles. First, if an accent feels difficult to understand, use subtitles. Subtitles help you connect the spoken words to the written form, so you recognize what the words sound like in that accent. After some practice, try turning off the subtitles to see how much you understand on your own. 3. Listen to podcasts or YouTube channels in each accent. Find podcasts or YouTube channels in American, British, and Australian English. For example, if you enjoy cooking, look for chefs from each country and watch their videos. This way, you're learning about something you love and also improving your ear for accents. 4. Repeat key phrases. When you hear a new expression or word, pause and repeat it. Try to match the speaker's accent. This helps you get used to the sounds, making you better at both listening and speaking. 5. Challenge yourself over time. Start with accents that are easier for you. For many people, American or British accents feel more familiar. Once you're comfortable, try accents that might feel a bit harder, like Australian or even Irish English. This way you keep pushing your skills, and eventually all accents start feeling natural. Real-life example. Meeting people from different places. Imagine you're at an international event or even just in an online English class. You meet people from the US, the UK, Australia, and other countries. They're all speaking English, but each one sounds a bit different. Because you've practiced listening to different accents, you can understand them all. You're able to keep up with the conversation, respond confidently, and even ask questions. This is a big achievement and can feel really rewarding, or think of watching a popular British series like Sherlock, an American movie, and an Australian travel documentary. You understand the differences, you don't get lost, and you even start appreciating how diverse English can be. Listening is your personal guide to learning culture. Each English-speaking country has its own culture, and listening to different accents brings you closer to understanding these cultures. For instance, listening to British English often gives you insights into British humor, which can be a bit dry or subtle. You'll notice that British people might not say amazing very often. Instead, they use more reserved words like quite good, even for things they enjoy. Listening to American English often gives you more direct expressions. Americans may say, "I love this a lot," showing enthusiasm, which is part of the American style. Listening to Australian English brings you closer to Australian slang and casual ways of speaking. Australians tend to shorten words like afternoon becomes arvo, and they use a friendly tone even with people they just met. By understanding these little cultural hints, you'll feel like you're a part of their world, not just someone learning their language. Listening is more than just hearing sounds. It's the path to connecting with people, understanding their emotions, and expressing yourself with confidence. And when you put in the time and effort, you'll notice a big difference. You'll understand English not just as a language, but as a way of life. So start with whatever accent you like, add others as you go, and enjoy the journey. Listening is your foundation for success in English. Listening is the foundation for mastering English in ways that go far beyond learning just words or grammar. It's the tool that lets you feel how English flows, how sentences connect, and how emotions are expressed in a way that textbooks can't teach. Listening brings the language to life, showing you how real people use English every day, how listening helps you think in English. One of the biggest challenges when learning English is trying to stop thinking in your native language. Translating every word in your head can make speaking feel slow and unnatural. Here's where listening works wonders. When you regularly listen to English, your brain starts picking up patterns, phrases, and sentence structures. Slowly, you'll find yourself understanding directly in English without needing to translate. For example, think about a simple sentence like, "What are you up to?" which means, "What are you doing?" in casual English. At first, this might feel confusing, but after hearing it in conversations or movies, you'll automatically understand it in English without thinking, "Oh, that means what are you doing?" in my language. Over time, this ability grows, and soon you'll be able to think in English effortlessly. Why listening builds faster. Understanding and speed. Listening is like the speed training of language learning. When you listen, you train your brain to process English quickly, which is especially important in conversations. Imagine someone is talking to you, and they're speaking a bit fast. Thanks to all your listening practice, your mind is already used to catching important words and understanding the main idea quickly. For example, let's say you're at a cafe, and the barista says, "Hi there, what can I get started for you today?" Maybe you missed one or two words, but with listening practice, your brain catches the main message. They're asking for your order. You reply confidently without overthinking. This kind of speed and understanding comes only from lots of listening practice. English isn't just about words, it's about tone, too. Tone is how people's voices rise and fall to express different emotions. For instance, if someone says, "Oh, really?" with a high, surprised tone, they're genuinely interested or shocked. But if they say, "Oh, really?" with a flat tone, they might be skeptical or even a bit sarcastic. When you listen regularly, you start noticing these tones naturally. You'll know when someone is excited, annoyed, or joking just by how they sound. And when you understand these tones, you respond more naturally, making conversations flow better. How listening boosts your social skills in English. Listening doesn't just improve your English, it makes you a better communicator overall. Imagine you're in a conversation and you're fully listening to the other person, not just waiting for your turn to speak. This makes you a thoughtful listener, which people appreciate. They feel heard and understood. For example, in a group conversation, someone might say, "I had such a rough day at work." Because you're actively listening, you can respond with empathy. "Oh no, what happened? Was it really busy?" This makes your responses more meaningful, and people enjoy talking to you. Listening is the key to building stronger, more genuine connections in English. One of the best parts about listening is that it lets you learn grammar without studying it directly. Think about how kids learn their first language. They don't study grammar rules. They hear their parents and others around them speak. And over time, they pick up how sentences are supposed to sound. Let's say you keep hearing people say, "I've just finished," instead of "I just finished." Even if you haven't learned the rule about present perfect tense, your brain starts to remember that "I've just" sounds more natural in certain contexts. Listening helps you develop this instinct, so you sound more natural and less textbook when you speak. When you listen closely, you're picking up the subtle sounds of English that are easy to miss if you're just reading or speaking. Every language has sounds that are unique, and listening helps you master these sounds. You start noticing things like the sound in words like this and that, which isn't found in many other languages. The difference between short and long vowel sounds, like in sit versus seat, the rhythm and intonation in questions, statements, and exclamations. One tip here is to mimic what you hear. Listen to a sentence, pause, and then try to repeat it exactly as the speaker did. This not only improves your pronunciation, but also makes your accent sound closer to native English. Listening is also a powerful tool for building confidence. Think about this. Every time you listen and understand even a little bit more, you gain confidence. You realize, hey, I understood that. I'm getting better. Each small success pushes you forward and makes you feel more prepared to speak, even if you make a few mistakes. For example, after listening to several podcasts, you might feel ready to join a conversation on that topic. You'll know some key phrases, ideas, and vocabulary, which gives you the courage to share your thoughts. Listening prepares you for these real moments where your confidence shines through. Sometimes, even after lots of practice, you'll hear words you don't know. Instead of stopping or feeling frustrated, you can use context to guess the meaning. For instance, imagine you hear, "Today was such a hectic day at work. There were so many deadlines and I barely had time for lunch." Maybe you don't know the word hectic, but from the context, you can guess it means busy or stressful. This skill helps you stay focused on the main idea without getting stuck on every word you don't know. To keep listening interesting, mix up what you listen to. Here are some great options. Podcasts. Perfect for hearing conversational English on any topic you like. News. Great for hearing formal English and learning about current events. YouTube videos. Offers a wide range of accents and casual expressions. Audiobooks. Help you experience storytelling and improve focus and comprehension. Music lyrics. Fun and helps with rhythm and common expressions. Each of these adds something unique to your listening skills. News improves your formal language. Podcasts help with casual conversation. And audiobooks expose you to longer sentences and storytelling style. Listening makes you resilient. Finally, the more you listen, the more resilient you become. You'll get used to not understanding everything right away, and instead of giving up, you'll learn to stay calm, focus, and keep going. This resilience is what separates good language learners from great ones. Every time you push through a tough listening exercise, you're building patience and determination. You learn that even if you don't catch every word, you're still growing. Over time, this resilience makes you unstoppable, and nothing in English feels too difficult anymore. The power of listening, ending on a high note. Listening is your superpower. It's the quiet skill that builds every other part of your English, your vocabulary, your pronunciation, your grammar, and your confidence. By making listening a daily habit, you're giving yourself the best foundation to succeed, not just in English, but in connecting with the world. So, let listening be the foundation of your English journey. Start with just 5 minutes, then gradually increase it as you get more comfortable. Embrace every accent, every new word, every unique phrase, and remember, every single minute you spend listening is a step toward fluency. Believe in the process, enjoy the journey, and know that every time you press play, you're bringing yourself closer to understanding